Monday was Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and it was also the day of President Barack Obama's second inauguration. I'm not going to spend too much time on President Obama's inauguration speech, and you want to know why? Well, because it was a speech. Frankly, and I've said this before on the show, I really don't care what he says too much anymore because, frankly, I don't really believe what he says anymore. I'm sorry, I really wish it wasn't this way, but it is. I mean, look, just looking at it coldly, yeah, it was a good speech, sure. He said a lot of nice things, sure. But I do want to focus and point out three different aspects, three different parts of the speech that I want to discuss rather briefly. One of them, I will say, is good, and two, sound good, but I'm seriously skeptical on what the results will actually be. Okay, so for starters, one, there was a line in the speech that was, hopefully historic. The line Obama said was, quote, "Our journey is not complete until our gay brothers and sisters are treated like anyone else under the law. For if we are truly created equal, then surely the love we commit to one another must be equal as well." End quote. And that's a great line. And I do not want to gloss over the fact that any president of the United States saying that in an inauguration speech is important. That is important. It is. And as much as I criticize Barack Obama on this show, and I do, as you know, if you listen to the show, it is undeniable that there has, in fact, been progress in the area of LGBT rights under Barack Obama. There's still obviously much more that needs to be done, but, there has been measurable progress in Barack Obama's first term when it comes to LGBT rights, and the fact that a United States president, up until this point in 2013, has never, said something like that in a speech, in an inauguration speech, which are, technically historic speeches. They're not all historic, but it is a time where the country listens. The fact that he said that is a positive thing and a good thing, and I think, it's due at least attention a bit. So let's move on to number two, to an area where something nice was said, but I kind of don't believe it. So in the inauguration speech, Obama mentioned quite forcefully protecting the social safety net. However, it was just the other day I saw another post that reported that Obama and Democrats are apparently still willing to cut Social Security. Well, look, what I'm saying, what I really want to be clear here, to me, what's happening here, folks, is when it comes to the social safety net, like during the campaign, the rhetoric does not match the reality. The rhetoric doesn't match the reality of what the Democrats and what Barack Obama are willing or planning to do. We all know that Barack Obama still desperately wants this grand bargain. And despite the nice rhetoric, and there was nice rhetoric on this type of thing, we cannot allow ourselves to be blinded into thinking that just because he gave a nice speech and said some nice things about the social safety net, that he is not willing to sell it out, that he's not willing to sell us out when it comes to Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid, because we have seen, it's been reported that he was willing to do it before, and I think he will do it again. And so on that aspect of his speech, I just flat out do not believe him, and our vigilance needs to be at the highest guard right now, and we need to be on it to make sure that Obama and the Democrats do not pass cuts to the social safety net. Moving on, though, third, he did devote a good portion of his speech to climate change. And, okay, let's look at this honestly, coldly and honestly. Look, I'm going to call it like I see it here, ladies and gentlemen. The fact that he did devote a good part of his speech to climate change is positive. He said a lot of really positive things about why climate change is important. A friend of mine, Paul, tweeted that the fact that gay rights and climate change are mentioned in a speech, the fact that makes it such an amazing progressive victory is actually really sad. But here's the deal again on this. We cannot be fooled that just because President Obama says nice things about climate change, that he is really on our side when it comes to climate change, and that he's really willing to take action and immediate action that is necessary to keep our planet from becoming uninhabitable. So far, through the first Obama administration, he has been frankly quite bad on climate change. As we've talked about before, I mean, he's opened up to more drilling than any U.S. president. He's opening up fracking. We're going to be talking later in the week about a horrible story involving Obama's EPA, which is going to just shock you. That's later in the week. But his record up until this point on the environment is not very good. But let's take it back here a step. Is the fact that the United States president at least talking about climate change in one of the major speeches a positive thing? Sure. Especially considering it wasn't mentioned hardly at all in the presidential campaign. Sure, it's positive. But as you know, folks, if you listen to the show regularly, you know that we have been covering the proposed Keystone XL Trans-Canada Tar Sands Pipeline. For over a year now on the show, we've been covering that story. And if you listen to the show, you know whether or not that pipeline gets approved is ultimately up to President Barack Obama. His decision. He gets to make the final call on that. Literally, he is going to make the final decision on whether this pipeline is built. You also know, if you listen to the show, that NASA's top scientist, James Hansen, says that if the Trans-Canada Pipeline gets approved and built, the carbon that will be released from it, it will be, quote, game over for our environment. Again, this is the top NASA scientist. If this pipeline is built after being approved by President Barack Obama, it is game over for our environment. We will know his decision on that pipeline in the next month or two. And we will know in the next month or two, therefore, whether or not President Barack Obama is in fact serious when it comes to all the rhetoric that he gave us at the speech on Monday when it comes to climate change. If he approves it, he's not. That is it. End of story. And so ultimately my reaction was, yes, it was a nice speech. It was a nice speech, but look, folks, Barack Obama has given plenty of nice speeches. He always gives nice speeches. Has he ever given a speech that was just like flat out horrible? I mean, if he really does protect the social safety net, will I be happy and give him credit? Yes, of course I will. If he really takes action on climate change and stops the Trans-Canada Pipeline, will I be happy and will I give him credit? Yes, I will. But so far, all we have are words and speeches and a 4-year track record that should not inspire trust or confidence.